welcome to the Live Courageously podcast show, episode number 76. And I'm your host, John Duffy. And Live Courageously has been the conscious theme of my life for the last 3 years since the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, and an unconscious theme for most of my life. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not the absence of fear. There's something contagious about someone who is courageous. Today's show is with very two adventurous guests, the Black Donnellys from Dublin, Ireland, that I met at their performance a few weeks ago in Newport Beach, and I saw a screening of their latest documentary, powerful documentary, Through a Storm, about 9/11. So let me share a little bit of their backstory. Dave Rooney is an award-winning singer-songwriter hailing from, like I said, Dublin, Ireland. He's also the co-star of the documentary An Irish Story, This Is My Home, chronicling his band, the Black Donnellys, as they embarked on a record-breaking journey, performing 60 shows in all 50 U.S. states in just 40 days. The film's a compelling exploration of the American dream from an Irish immigrant's perspective. Rooney is also an Emmy Award-winning and Guinness World breaking musician, and he was voted Best Irish Singer-Songwriter of the Year. And he's also a passionate advocate for mental health. His book, Journey Through Adversity, A Troubadour's Tale, is a deeply personal account reflecting his resilience and triumph over a 30-year struggle with anxiety. His music partner, not to all the things that he's done, Dave Browne, has once played a guitar for, listen to this, 414 hours straight, setting the Guinness World Record. He and Rooney has already set the mark for the longest concert ever, and I can't even believe this, 372 hours. Native Dubliners, their history dates back to 2004 in the Canary Islands, where they were both working the resort scene. The Black Donnellys, their name was named after a family of Irish immigrants who relocated to Canada in the 1840s, some who were infamously murdered in a dispute with another family. And their latest effort, which we're going to talk about, their documentary film, Through a Storm, is An Irish Story, Part 2, the untold stories of 9/11. The new doc is a celebration of bravery, selflessness, heroism, and remembrance, and all to the backdrop of an Irish band's original soundtrack and perspective. It will take you through a journey of moment-to-moment introspective as they hear the direct testimony as it happened that fateful day when time stood still, ultimately posing the question, where were you? The doc will be released in support of the Tunnels to Tower charity. So let me welcome both Daves, Dave Rooney and Dave Browne, to the stage, and thank you for joining me today.
How you doing, John?
Hello, John.
How are you?
Thanks for having us, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, it was an honor to meet you guys, and it was I went down there to see a friend of mine who has Fueled by the Fallen. He did a whole set of cars. He was in your documentary, Kevin Major Howard. So that's why I went to, and through that I got to meet you guys, both see your incredible documentary, but also to hear a great performance of music that you performed that day at the thing. So it was a very cool day, definitely. So let me ask you guys, I since the show is called Live Courageously, let's start with you, Dave Rooney. What does that mean to you? You've obviously lived an adventurous and courageous life. Tell me your interpretation of it. And then also, Dave Browne, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah, well, it's one of these things that happens to you. I don't think you ever set out intentionally to do all of these things. Life is a funny way, and I speak from the personal perspective of taking you on these journeys. And as long as you're open to these journeys, and you're open to the chance of adventure, well, I think, and you're willing to let life lead you in that way. I think it's a great thing, and it seems to happen. Sometimes I feel like things are planned out for you. What's for you won't pass you. I seem to always have kept that kind of train of thought. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey, John, to be honest, and there's no getting away from that. I've been on the road now for on and off 30 years, and I've lived in 5-6 countries, played in about 30 of them. And we've had immense success along the way, and it's been incredible. So, if that's living courageously, well then yes, absolutely, I've been living a courageous life. But it's been a great adventure, and yeah, I'm just happy to continue to live that.
Well, we're gonna go deeper into a bunch of the things, both your book and your first documentary, your second documentary, your music. But let me David Browne, why don't you tell us your journey a little bit? What do you think living courageously means to you? And obviously, you've broken some world records, both playing so many hours and playing. So tell us a little bit about that. What does that mean to you?
I think it's the same thing. I've never been, even where I come from in Dublin, inner city Dublin, a very, very working class and sometimes no working class. It was never for me just to sit around and do stuff. It was always just trying and get out of do whatever you can do and get out of the comfort zone as such. And that's why for teaching myself how to play the instruments that I play, and then getting into putting yourself in all sorts of different situations and not being afraid of what you do. And as they said, like, there's no rehearsal for it. You take it take it as it's coming, take it on the chin, and just go and find that there's so much out there. There's so much that as you get older, I've watched people who I've grown up and just be content with what they are, and fair play to them. Sometimes I wish I had that I can just, I'm happy here, and well, I don't have that. And it's like, even now, people are saying to us that, like, we've done 10 years in Rira. We've got probably the best pub gig in the world. We get paid well. It's great. There's no problem. We're in Las Vegas. I know that we have this movie out, and then just like, okay, let's do something new. So I'm gonna move to Queens, where I've never been. And it's a new adventure, you know. And it's like, but if you're willing to take it on, we haven't failed yet, and I haven't failed yet. You know, from playing guitar, teaching yourself to play guitar, to having hit records with different people, and then touring around the world, touring and organizing most 99% of it yourself, and just doing it. So the adventure, you know, it's like people say at the end, the breaking world records, and it's brilliant. Now, it really is. It's great fun to do. Getting to the end of it and seeing, and the joy you get out of it, the joy you get out of it. But it's the journey. The journey is the big part. It's like doing this movie. As I said, the journey in it has been, like, for me, it's been life changing. It's watching what people have done, and myself and Dave we're standing, we're walking. It was just after it was the Sunday after the 20th anniversary. We're walking down Broadway, and we were exhausted. There, we were slightly hungover as well. We put an awful lot of effort into it. And he turns around to me, and goes, "Would you run into a building like that?" And I said, "No way." And he goes, "Why do they do it? What's wrong with these people?" And I said, "They're built that way. That's what that DNA has been in them, and it's come up through their family to go and do this stuff. We do other stuff. You know what I mean? And that's what makes the world go round. Everybody has something, could bring something to the table, and that's what we do, and that's what I do. I think and it's a big table. There's a lot to go on, and there's more to come. You know.
Yeah, and what do you think makes, you know, the two of you and both of you can share? Because like that's a great way to put it. You say, you know, they're built that way. Those firefighters and those police who risk their lives, that's in their DNA. What made you? Because, you know, you mentioned like myself, you grew up in working class blue collar Dublin. I did it in New York City in the Bronx. But what made it that you two went on that kind of adventurous journey? Because a lot of the people you grew up with didn't go on it. I remember years ago I saw an Irish movie. I don't know if you saw the Irish American movie called Brooklyn, and it's about this woman who goes back to Ireland, right? And, you know, the people there are kind of pulling her to come back and not go on the adventure, right? So what is it in your DNA that both of you kind of made that, instead of staying in your comfort zone of the world of Dublin that you grew up in? What got you to go on it? What do you think it was about you two, you know, inside each one of you, that kind of led you on that path?
I think there's two answers to that question. The first one is the Irish spirit. The Irish spirit's a free spirit, and we're nomadic people anyway. That's our history. We're everywhere, all over the world. Everywhere you go, you'll find an Irish pub, and they're writing songs about that and all that kind of stuff, right? But so it's definitely in the Irish DNA to travel and move around and so on. I've always had this bug to get out there and find out what's going on, because you know that there's better out there. And when you're coming from a place that doesn't have all of the infrastructure to support your dreams, well, then the world is a big place, and the world is sincerely your oyster. It's really down to how you look at the world and how you put together how you're going to do this. The second thing is it comes to it's your personality then as well. So if you have a personality that's a driving personality, and you want to get on, and you want to, you want to do better, you want to get out, you want to accomplish. And I certainly have had that drive all through my life, and that's certainly what spurred me on to get out there and see what's going on. There's a curiosity attached to all of that. There's a sense of adventure attached to all of that, and and it's just all around wanting to know and knowing that you can do it, knowing that and believing in yourself. So it really is down to your personality. If you're comfortable and you're sitting at home and you're happy to be around and have the same, everyday thing and the safety of that, and it's regimental, and that's fine. That's okay. That's cool. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just that, I wanted more out of life, and that's why I do what I do.
That's why you went on your adventure. Yeah. And David, how about you?
Yeah, I think for me it was the same thing. When people would say to you, "Oh, I remember 100 years ago, I remember watching something in the flats, and it was I remember it was an oil rig had gone on fire, and you remember Red Adair?
Yes.
Red Adair. So
He was a firefighter, right?
Yeah, that's right. And he went out. They couldn't put out the fire. And he went in, and for a certain amount of time, he was a rock star. He was everywhere. And then I remember BBC done a documentary on him, and they went to his house, and you see him driving in, and he clicked, and we were all. I'm in flats in like in Dublin watching this, and the gate is open. Then you go in, and the gate up to his garage. He's got his cars in there. Go into his house. He's got this big screen. He's got all, and I was going like, wow, how does that happen? You know what I mean? How does somebody have that? Like, I'm living in this box in the sky, And I remember my mum. I was like, yeah, but that's not for the likes of us. And I was thinking, I'm not buying into that. No way am I buying into that. And I was like, that was one of the big things that was injected into me when I was a kid. And for me, it was like, right, if he can do that, I'm going to do that. I'm going to find out how it can be done. And that's been, and it's ever since then. It's like, you see, even both of us have it. Like, you'll never do that. As I said, that's the worst thing you can say. We're going to do it, even if we don't want to do it. We're going to do that. Do you know what I mean? It's like when I started out, the first idea, I have the Guinness World Record, and everyone's saying, you have to train for that, and you can't be doing that. And Irish people are great, but they're also, they're very, very, very like, oh no, that won't happen, and they can't happen to us. And so we broke the mold of that, and especially for me, that's always been it. And once you have your health and you have your stuff, you've got a family around you, and you're good to go, and you have the ability, go and do it. There's a huge world out there, huge stuff. And like, if I live another lifetime, I would do the same. I wouldn't do the same things. I would do the same things but different. There's so much things to see out there, and there's so much stories untold that we've come across. And yourself, it's like Pandora's box. You just go down or into that rabbit hole, and there's just so much more to find out. And that's what I find fascinating. And that's the drive for me, to keep telling the stories that nobody's heard,
Well, I love that. And I love what you just said, that when, because a lot of times, especially when you're like in, working class, blue collar, like our parents sometimes will say that, that's not for you. And that message that you said, you weren't going to buy into that. You weren't going to buy into that belief that you wanted something bigger. You wanted something, rather than just what was around you. You wanted something more. And I think that's a message for everybody to take to heart, especially young people, to realize no matter where you start out, you got to have that dream. You got to be willing to go on that
adventure. You have to have the dream. You have to have it.
Yeah. And you don't know what's possible unless you try. And that's what you did.
Exactly.
You guys went on that adventure. You didn't know. You probably, when you were young and you started into doing music, you never had the reality that you were going to travel to perform 60 concerts in 50 states in the United States. I mean, what an amazing journey. And yet, who would ever thought about that? But you wouldn't have never done it unless you went on the first adventure that you went on, right?
Exactly. You got to put the feet into the water,
Well, I'm going to throw up a real picture of that real quick. This is, that's an Irish story. This is my home. And tell us about this. We're going to watch a little trailer about this in a minute, but tell us what gave you this incredible, wild idea to try and pull this off. Where did that come from? Tell us about, how that seed came, and then how did it start? Tell us a little of the story, and then we'll jump in and watch the little trailer about it.
It was very, very simple. We were in Rira one night. We broke the world record for the world's longest gig. We'd done that. And because we manage ourselves, we look after ourselves, we don't have a committee to go through with all that. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and his uncle, he just said to me, "Oh, we're going up to, I think it was going to Utah, wherever he was. My son is he's got the 2 more states to go, and he's done the 50 states then." And I just said to him, "Is that a thing?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, do all 50 states." And I literally went, "Okay, give me a minute." I walked into into the kitchen in Rira, and I looked up what's the world record of doing 50 gigs in 50 states, and it was 50, 50, and 50. George Thorogood did it. And I came out the day, he's getting on the stage. I said, I have a great idea. And he goes, "Leave me alone. We've just given." No, go away. I said, "No, honestly, this is a winner." He goes, "No, it's not." I said, "I promise you." He goes, and I said, "It's cool." So I said, "George Thorogood did 50 gigs in 50 states in 50 days." And he goes, "Great, did he?" Fair play to him. I said, "No, but we could do that. We could do 60 gigs in 50 states in 40 days." He said, "How did you make that up?" I said, "We can do it." I said, look at the place. Like he would have done it. And then it was trying to convince him to do it. And then it's like, it was he had This Is My Home. I said, which he's had for years. I think this will be a great thing to do it. And he goes, how do we start? I said, "I don't know, but give me a minute." I said, "No, I know there's a few gigs that we can do." And then it just snowballed. We met them on Tuesday at the pool here. And he goes, like, what are you thinking? And then it was, yeah. And then we took it from there. And then we all the people that we had in, and then the idea of, because it was the immigration was getting a big kick at the time, and we were just saying how, like, America is like, it's only a couple of generations old, and how immigration and has done on the positive side what it's done. We like yourself, everybody, we all come from somewhere, and that's what it was. And just for us to be able to travel, and I've always wanted to do that, to travel around. I used to watch all the old movies with Buddy Holly, and I'm watching James Brown doing, and Elvis doing it, where they would go around on the tours, and I think that must have been brilliant to do that, each state, because America has the states have such great names to go to.
So Dave, when he came to you and gave you that idea, tell us your response, and then how did that go on for you?
Well, first of all, there's something wrong with him, all right? Because he's always coming up with these things where, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's got some great ideas, and then some are absolutely outlandish. So I've kind of developed this thing where to kind of ignore him at the start, and then when he comes up with something, and then it generally goes away. But this one wasn't going away. But so he was saying, and it's true, he said that to me, and I said, "No, I'm not doing it," because we just done other things, world records and so on. And anyway, so over time, it started to kind of sit with me, but I was afraid that we wouldn't be able to execute it. So correctly or not correctly, but like, it's a big thing to do. And there's one thing writing it down on a piece of paper. Oh, we're going to go from A to B, and this is how we're going to do it. And I just didn't feel confident about that side of things. I got introduced to a management company who look after a lot of the headliners here in Las Vegas, and we teamed up with them. And we first of all had a chat with your man, and he said, "Oh yeah, we can help you do this." And it was his idea to. He said, "Well, look, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to organize it all and help you with the tour, and we're going to help you with logistics and all that stuff." And then he rings you one morning and he goes, "By the way," he says, "I want you to meet these filmmakers. They're Emmy Award filmmakers. And why don't we film this, And I went, "Yeah, it sounds exciting and all that." So we were up for it. Went and had a breakfast meeting with the filmmaker, and we got on very well. And with all these, you want to get music to put into a film, and you'll notice, John, yourself being a filmmaker, there's the amount of money that you have to pay for all of these, royalties and so on. Is that when you have your own music, well, you don't, because you own the rights to that music and so on. So we had about 40 or 50 tracks there that we could use. So it was kind of like the perfect storm in that respect, although we were able to put it together, and that was all fine. But I was still kind of unsure about it. And before I knew it, I was in the back of an RV heading down to Arizona. That was haunted, by the way. Because all sorts of shit went wrong. It blew up on us. There was all sorts of stories.
Everything, man.
I won't spoil it for you, but like for anybody, any of your viewers who want to watch it, it's available on Amazon Prime now and Hulu and Apple TV everywhere.
I absolutely recommend it. I'm going to throw a quick trailer up for now for people to see. So let's just watch this trailer from your thing, and yeah, please go watch it on Amazon Prime, everybody. But here, let me just throw up this.
I'm getting a twitch here. I am thinking about it.
My knee is getting sore. My liver's talking to me.
Yeah.
And here we go. Let's see if we get. Hopefully, we got. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Nobody has ever done that before.
Part of a new Guinness World Record.
In the words of Backman Turner Overdrive, you ain't seen nothing yet. Cheers, champ.
You know, once again, they're embarking on something that's just larger than life.
What are you talking about?
Who are these guys?
They're on a mission to break a world record for the fastest time to play a small venue concert in each of the 50 states.
This is our idea of an American dream. We're doing something that nobody else has ever done.
I've seen the lights on Broadway. I've seen it all.
Understanding of immigrants allows to have a more inclusive world, a more inclusive America, not an America of exclusion.
This is my home, and I've been away for far too long from my home.
The idea of this is my home is how do I stay myself and become something completely new?
We've $25 in our account. We've 3 weeks to go.
We really were starting to feel like, okay, we shouldn't be doing this.
All right. That's just a little taste of it. And besides you can watch it on Amazon Prime, and I recommend it. Also, there's a book that goes with it as well, right? Is that correct?
No, there's no.
I think there's that's my bad. That's right. That's a separate book, but they can watch
Right,
this
okay.
Prime. Correct.
It's on Peacock as well, and it's on Peacock as well and Tubi. I just seen it up there, and it's got a viewer's choice as well on Amazon.
And you went on this journey, and if people gotta watch it and just there's been articles. Matter of fact, I might have read an article. I'm not sure. I read so many, Irish Echo or one of the other places. But the journey that you went on in this RV, getting from state to state isn't easy, and you had all kinds of things go wrong. You had to do a GoFundMe to keep going. I mean, it wasn't like organized and put together that you just easily went from place to place, right? Tell us about that. It was like there was so many reasons to not be able to achieve it, but you did anyway.
Yeah, we were hit with so much adversity. We were hit with so many, first of all, the weather systems, we had electrical storms and hurricanes, and we had volcano eruptions when we were down in Hawaii. I shit you not. It was crazy what was going on. We had blowouts. We had the air conditioning going down on us. We had breakdowns. Nobody was getting paid. So there was a lot of internal, because we had a whole team with us. There was a lot of internals going then, and then everyone was starting to separate, and there was us and them, and then the management company where the money was going missing, and it was an absolute shit show. But it was unbelievable. I felt very alive doing it, but it took a lot out of us, and we hid a lot of that tragedy, even though there was tragedy going on. We hid a lot of it. We absorbed a lot of that stuff going on. I don't know how we got to the end. I really do not know that, but we did. But it was very, very tough to do.
We stopped somewhere. Somewhere in mid-America. I don't know where it was, and we were in a hotel room. And I said to Dave, I said, I think this is planned. I think this is scripted. Yeah. We were saying this because there's no way. I mean, there's so much in the movie but there's so much other stuff that we couldn't put in because no one would believe us. It really like you could make a movie of what was going on behind the scene, what was going on. Like doing that, playing 60 gigs in 50 states in 4 days is hard enough. Playing the gigs is hard enough. Traveling with the same people is hard enough. But what was going on behind it? Each day was lasting for 22 or 23 hours. Like, you know what I mean? You were getting, because there was so much doing the gig, getting there, but then all this back stuff that was going on, where the money was going, where the sponsorship was going, who was getting it. We were getting, this money was coming in, that money, and you were chasing up all that while you done the gig. We sat at the table in the RV, which was that day's haunted, and it had its own way of driving, and just it was exhausting. Like, it really was exhausting to do it. And look, I remember when we seen the first draft of it when we came back, and both of us just broke down. Going like, I can't believe we done this. I cannot believe we done this. You know, I'd love to do it again, but like the back end of about $3.5 million, so I could really enjoy it.
Yeah, I do it on a plane. I do it on a plane.
Oh,
But yeah, it was arduous and it was hard. Great that we got to the end of it. We had
amazing we did it.
a lot of great people with us and some not so great, you know. So, but without them great people, we never would have made it. So we had some of them are really great on the team. It's fantastic people, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, and what year did you finish that? Or when did you finish it?
2018, and it was a great day to do it because we left here on May 11th, and we zigzagged up and down the country, and we flew over to Hawaii, Honolulu, and up to Alaska. What's that? Anchorage in Alaska, and we did 16,000 miles on the road, which was mental. And we got to New York June 14th. And we were sitting in Cat's Deli when we got there, and it was a real moment because we'd finished the tour, and we'd gotten there, and then I'd got my green card had arrived in the post box here in Vegas, and my wife had rang me, like, so it was a lovely ending to it all, and it was kind of like that was the story, and it was so hard, and it was just a great way to end it and get your green card and know that you were going to be okay, because there was so much unsurety before that, being an Irish immigrant living in the United States on various visas and stuff like that. You never feel at home. It's uncomfortable, you know.
Well, it's, you know, I'm going to ask you about some of that, because, you know, you call it, you know, your American story, and coming to America and traveling through 50 states, which is, you know, most of them. I have only been to 25 states, and then, you know, as an American. But, you know, that journey from Ireland to America, I know for myself, I went back to Ireland 2008. My family, my mother and father were both born there. So for me, it was reconnecting. And like you said, being in the Irish pubs and just every bit about it just felt like it was in my DNA. Yeah. And I mean, I just felt like I was home in Ireland. I went back 2 more times. But for you in America, what was that like? What was the highlights of America for you? What would you sum up was the highlights that you gained from seeing so much of America in such a short period of time?
I think it was.
Well, there was. Yeah, you go, Dave. Go.
Just for I think it was both of us. Like, we were like two kids looking out the window and looking at all these place names that we've heard of growing up. Like, we all watched the TV shows of Kojak and Starsky and Hutch, and you know, and you know, the Rockford Files, and we watched all the shows that were on. And we both realized that as kids we are both fascinated with America. I was always fascinated with the Statue of Liberty and all, and how it came there and all, and how it was built. Just certain things like that, and New York, which was always, everyone just thought New York was America. That was it. But then just for us going, I think the highlight was just absolutely being able to go and see all these places, like running up the Rocky Steps. Do you know what I mean? Going out to Ellis Island. You know, going into mid America. Like, you drive for. When we go through Iowa, and we drove for 3.5 hours and saw nothing, like nothing, not a person, I don't think we even seen a board. You know what I mean? It's like, this country is huge, you know, and then the landscape and from the West Coast, and the difference between the West Coast and the East Coast, and we both said it was like 50 different countries, you know. So that was brilliant to do. But the thing that united it all for us is, without not getting all come by hour, it was like we did meet Irish people in every state. We did meet, but it was us getting up on the stage, and we could still, wherever we went, everyone accepted who we were. Everyone did. There wasn't any backlash. There was no weird form of racism. Everybody was into it. And I said to somebody, I did an interview on one of the radio stations in Ireland. They said, like, you know, what do you think of America, Dave? And I said, it's very, very big. And they said, what do you think of, what do you think of Americans? I said, I haven't met overall 350 million of them. I don't know. And they come at you then because people are experts on watching television, and they say to you, oh, but I've seen this, I said this. I said, you're watching NBC, you're watching CNN, you're watching Fox. I said, that's not America. Not the America we've seen. Nowhere near it. I said, what we've seen they're the same as us. Very, very same. Just they got completely different weather systems and a weird and weird ways of traveling, because they love to travel in their trucks for 15 and 16 hours, and that's insane anyway. You know what I mean?
I hear you 100%. Dave, your take. What was the thing that stood out for you, the American experience, given having covered the whole country?
Well, first and foremost, I had the Manhattan skyline as a poster on over my bed when I was about 7 or 8. So I've always been very much influenced by America. See, Ireland is very much heavily influenced by American television, American music, country and classic rock and Motown and all the rest of it. So all eyes are always on like America, because it's so big and so eventful, and it's the melting pot. There's so many diversities there, but and because Ireland has a very close affinity with America as well, because of all of our forefathers who came over way before us, and because we have that connection, and vice versa. So it feels that one hand washes the other. I've been in love with the hamburgers and the hot dogs and the yellow taxi cabs and the Golden Gate Bridge, and New York is America for us as well. Although the Golden Gate Bridge, I know, is in San Francisco.
Here's New York, a picture of you you two in New York.
Yeah. The naked cowboy.
The naked cowboy.
He was great. He was great.
But so, you know, all those things, Dave, you know, getting to go through all that, and there's just another quick picture of you guys playing. I'm not sure where this was exactly, but where was that?
That's Rira.
Rira back in Vegas.
In Vegas, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, once again, I'm going to try and there's no way I'm going to cover everything I wanted, because, you know, we just lost Dave right as maybe he'll come back in. So yeah. I was about to talk about his book, and then he disappeared on me. Maybe that's a sign, right, David? So after that, when you came back from that, what was your next? And we're going to maybe I'll pivot in another direction.
No problem.
After that, a tour, and you did the 60 states, and you accomplished that. Obviously, you must have taken a break. But what happened after that? What was your next?
I think we
journey? There he is. He's back. Let me get him back on the stage. Oh, there we. I was about to talk about your book, and then you disappeared. I said, was that a coincidence, or?
Yeah.
My apologies about that. Please, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I'm going to pivot back, Dave. Just give me a moment. So there's a lot to cover. I'm not going to be able to cover all of it, but I just want to do a short little intro to tell people to take a look at this. And we're going to have to do another show, because the content of what you're talking about in this is a lot more than a 5-minute conversation. But I'm just going to throw up on the screen. Boom, boom, boom. This is your book, Journey Through Anxiety, A Troubadour's Tale. And so this is the book that they can get on Amazon as well. So that book itself is your journey from dealing with anxiety. And I started to read some of it. And obviously it's pretty deep, because you talk about your personal journey as a kid. You talk about how you had anxiety as a kid, and then how you kind of mastered it, you know, as a performer. But also you talk about the issues that in the culture today, that's driving anxiety, technology, the cell phones, all that stuff that's taking us away from human connection. So there's a lot of deep content there, and I know you speak on it as well, and you're involved in trying to make a difference for people who are dealing with mental health issues and anxiety. So I wanted to bring it up. I mean, it's a deep topic, so let's just take a couple minutes with it, and then we're going to go pivot to your latest project, because I want to spend some time on that. But we'll have to come back and do a show on that mental health and anxiety in your book. I think that will take us into a little bit of a deeper conversation.
Yeah, I'll just skip over it very, very quickly. It was great to, after struggling with it for 30 years, I got the grips with it here in Las Vegas in 2015. I jumped out of the car in the middle of traffic, and Dave was actually, it was kind of weird what was going on. It's a funny thing. It's multifaceted. It comes from all different directions. It's amazing to me that people still don't understand it. Obviously, they're throwing medicine and pills at it, which is, I believe, to be a short-term fix to a long-term problem. But so I started to look at it through meditation, movement, hydration, diet, positive thinking, gratitude, and I kind of I call it my 6-punch combination, and that's the basics of the book, and all the strategies that I implemented all along the way, all the way through. And now I do talks, and I speak at seminars and various conventions, and online for clinics and care workers and so on. And it's proven very effective. So I look forward to coming back to you and talking to you at length with that, John.
Yeah, I'd love to, because it is a topic that's, I think has grown worse because of the 2 years of the COVID and pandemic and the isolation of people, even worse than what they were going through even previously. And like you said, all those alternative things you're suggesting instead of pharmaceuticals are a lot more dealing with the reality of the source of it, as opposed to just masking it with pharmaceuticals on top of the problem. So I think there's a lot of deep stuff that you lay out in that book. And once again, people can check out the book on Amazon and get a chance to take a look at it. But I'd love to have a conversation, because that's something we can go very deep, and there's a lot that people can, gain from your experience and what you learned from dealing with it personally. So I'd love to do that in the future, and we'll schedule another time to make that happen. But go ahead.
Sorry, just to finish on that, I'm writing a curriculum at the moment to present to the schools on how to implement various strategies to look after yourself, and implementing meditation for younger people, implementing that into the schools at an earlier age. And I think that's going to help a lot. But we'll move on.
Yes. Yes, we move on. So before you disappeared, I was asking David about what, once you accomplished that tour, took a break, caught your breath, then you started another project besides your regular playing music. Was the documentary that we're about to talk about, was that the next thing you did, or was there stuff in between all that?
There was stuff in between. We didn't plan to do that. We had a couple of other ideas that we were going to do. We were approached by one or two people to do it. We're going to do the same thing through Europe. We were going to do the same vibe going through Europe, and the Irish influence and around the rest of the world. And then we had a couple of ideas that we were going to do. We were going to do like a live album and just music, and as if fate or wherever it is finds you. And we were playing music. We were doing we went back, and we wanted to go back on do bigger gigs and different festivals, and we did that. And then when the movie came out, we plugged that, and that was great. And then winning the Emmy for that was totally out of blue. We didn't see that, so that gave us another boost, helped us gain better gigs, better shows, and our guarantee went up. So that helped us an awful lot. And it made it a little bit easier to get bigger gigs, but it's still tough. It's still tough for us because we're self-managed. We do everything ourselves. We're not in certain cliques with people, so we have to just we definitely have to grind everything we do, And then I was always searching for something else to do, not just staying in one place. And then that's when it was the 90th anniversary of the 9/11, and we were in Rira. A couple of people there, 60, 70 people, where was there. And we just talking. We were talking about it, and we were saying, "Where were you on the day?" And I know exactly where I was on the day, and it was a big part of my life. Very, very quickly, I was working with a guy called Terry Woods from the Pogues, and I was doing doing his album. We were doing an album together actually. We just formed the Woods band, and it was great. It was brilliant. Everybody was behind it. We were going to sign a deal to BMG with 14 record companies trying to get us. It never happened in my life. So we were all on it, and it was we on the day of the planes hitting the buildings. We were in my apartment in Temple Bar, and we were all there discussing what studio we're going to use, what other musicians we're going to bring in, just the Disneyland for a musician. It was just this is it. This is going to happen. We had a management company behind us, one of the biggest companies who was going to get behind us. With the Irish company MCD, we're going to do some stuff for us. It was broke all of that, and then the planes hit. And the second plane hit, and the guy that's playing bass with me at the time, Sparky, turned to me and he said, "That's the end of our deal." And I went, "No, it's not. That's miles away. It's New York." And true enough, it was right, because the music industry totally broke down for over 2-3 years. We lost the deal. We couldn't gig. There was no way you couldn't. And it was one of the factors how I ended up coming to America. So that was where I was. And we were talking to Dave where he was working, and he'll tell you where he was working in Dublin. And then we got on stage and said, "Right, it's 9/11, we're going to play a song." And I suggested a song, and Dave says, no, let's do You Never Walk Alone. I went, "Oh yeah, great, let's do that." And nobody gave a shit. And it really, really offended me. Really, really freaked me. I was like, and I said, "What the fuck? Well, you people coined the phrase 'never forget.' Like, what is wrong with you?" You know what I mean? And he belted out the song, and through my ignorance or whatever it wasn't that they didn't. But the West Coast a bit, not that they didn't want it to talk about it, they just didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want it. I mean, and I said, like, that was like, this is wrong, man. This is absolutely wrong. I've watched that. America's a great place and it's brilliant. But one thing that really annoys me is it forgets its history so quick. So quick. And it's,
It's the interesting observation. Probably, coming from outside, you get to see what sometimes, when you're inside, you don't see, right? But I think that's a very true observation.
Oh yeah, and that's what it was. And then same again, back into the kitchen. That came out the man. It's like, do you know what? We should do something about this. I said, "Do you know there was 1,000 Irish people killed in the towers that day alone? Never mind the firefighters, never mind anything else. There was 1,000 Irish. It's 18 or 16 were homegrown. The rest was second, third generation. It was like you said, John, same thing, right?" And I said, "There's an angle we need to sort this out." Because I'd been down there. I was down in Ground Zero about 8 months after the towers went down, and I walked down and I seen all the. If you were down there, you remember the smell in the air was horrific, but they had all these people had photocopies of their friends that were missing, and all the jerseys from Ireland were all there, and all the county jerseys, all the Irish names. And then and that was always in my head. I'd seen that and I broke down watching it and reading the names. And then when we were doing this is my home, we went down to it to the memorial there at Ground Zero, and Dave seen it for the first time himself, like looking at it and going like, "This is fucking huge," like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
it was amazing.
You can't forget that,
No, it was amazing to see the. Sorry to cut across you. Amazing to see all the Irish names and the flags and the scarves and the jerseys and all that stuff, and like we've always been aware that, like, there's a lot of Irish Americans in America, of course, but we didn't know that we had that connection there, and it did make that connection a lot bigger for us. So the idea then to kind of set up, why don't we release a charity single? That was the initial, what we come up with. And we said, well, what song would we do? And I love the "You Never Walk Alone," which I thought was Jerry and the Pacemakers. Apparently, it goes way back then to Carousel, the play with music. And so anyway, so we set about getting the right people to work with us on that, and that was really cool. We were delighted with what we came out with. And while we were doing that, and while all this was going on, and since 2018, I'd fallen in love with filmmaking, and I'd fallen in love with the whole thing. So I started to buy cameras, and I taught myself how to edit, and I started getting all these things together. And so while we were kind of deciding on the song and all the rest of it, I was starting to feel more and more confident. And I says, well, you know what, I think we can do this ourselves, you know. And that was a really exciting and very daunting, let me tell you, because, you know, I learned a lot of lessons along the way, and them lessons I will never forget. Like nearly losing the whole project, and oh man, I could. Anyway, there's lots in there. But to get there and to get it done, and then to work with so many great people to help us get it there as well, and then to win an award. We won an award yesterday, John. By the way, it won best feature film at the San Diego Movie Awards.
Yes, I heard about that. Congratulations to both. Congratulations, well deserved. You know, like you said, I went to the Trade Center that December Christmas that had happened 2001, and you know, like you said, there was still smoking, and all the memorials were there. And you know, every year out here in LA, they put up all the flags on this university, Pepperdine University. Thousands of flags they put up, and of the people, and from every country. And you know, of course, the American flag, and then lots of Irish flags, and just other countries as well, where people who were in the building who lost their lives, or you know, at the Pentagon. And so all that, you know, it touches me. So when I heard you guys had done that, I was like, and it was a friend of mine, so I wanted to come down. And this is the poster that you had put up on your Facebook page, I believe, Through a Storm, the Untold Stories of 9/11. I'm going to share a little trailer that you put together about that, so people can see what it is. And this is just, you know, us coming down there. This is us hanging out there at the event with you and with Kevin Major Howard. So that was down in Newport with his car fueled by the fallen. So let me just play this a little trailer from the film, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Okay,
go for it.
In Squad 1 in Brooklyn. He strapped 60 pounds of fire gear to his back. He ran through that tunnel. He ran into the South Tower. While him and his other brothers were saving people, they gave up their lives. And when we lost that day, we knew we had to do something to honor what he did.
That day changed the entire world, the way we look at everything, deal with everything, and it's never.
My wife and my 4 kids were supposed to be on flight American Airlines number 11, leaving Boston for LA. It had been diverted. I had no way to reach them. I had no idea if they were alive or if they were in that tower at the time. While it was crumbling down, they were dead.
It's something we all have to remember. Shocking, upsetting, to say the least. And yet, the aftermath of that was encouraging, because the way people came together to help others.
Meeting the Black Donnelly's in Vegas and becoming friends with them, you know, coming up with a song. 2 immigrants from Ireland remembered what this is all about, and that's the only reason I'm talking about it now.
Walk on, walk on.
It was the worst day in my life, absolutely. And I can't believe 20 years have gone by already, because I feel like it was yesterday.
All right. Well, once again, congrats on the winning the award at the San Diego Film Festival. And
you.
I had a chance to watch it down in the pub down there in Newport, and really powerful. So I recommend people check it out. Tell us about it. How long did it take you? Obviously, you're doing it as a fundraiser for Tunnel for Towers, and if people are not familiar with them, they should be. It's one of the more powerful nonprofits that every year is remembering the people who lost their lives, taking care of the families of the first responders and the military, and just doing amazing work. So tell us a little bit about that journey of making this documentary.
Yeah, well, we wanted to make it, and we set about. It took about, I don't know, we started it about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
At the 2020 day, wasn't it? 2020.
Yeah.
And we were over and back. We'd hired a crews to do it. We'd raised a lot of funds through people that we know and sponsorships and all that stuff. And we went back to New York 2 or 3 times to get a lot of the stuff, a lot of the footage there. Because we were doing it as a side project to begin with. Well, the financials played a big part in actually getting us to the places, and how you get your travel there, and how, because obviously we worked for nothing, and that that was part of the passion of the project. But it was an incredible thing to do, and to go over to Gander, then where all the planes were downed, and meet all the people there and get their version of events was really refreshing, and to meet that kind of people. It was people that you didn't think existed anymore in this world, with the way that life is going and the way people are in social spaces nowadays. But they were so nice and very friendly. And obviously there's a big Irish contingent up there as well. And then getting to New York and then meeting Frank Siller at the Tunnel to Towers down in Staten Island, and the postcards memorial down there, which is beautiful. Being able to perform at that and record there, and then pick up stories from our own hometown and our own country, flying over to Ireland. So it was, it was a long and arduous process. Aside of all of that, only learning to be a filmmaker, and only learning how to get a lot of this stuff done. And it feels so great. It's even more special now for this one, having getting there, and now it's winning awards and stuff like that. It feels like a great accomplishment, and it feels like it was well worth doing. And of course, it's a very noble gesture to put a highlight on all of these heroes that lost their lives, and also for a brilliant charity like Tunnels to Towers. And you can check that out at t2t.org and see all the great work that they do. But it's been a great thing to be involved in this. Absolutely, 100%.
It's it would have been a little bit shorter, I suppose, but we were led up, a lot of people saying, "Oh, we're going to help you, we're going to do this," and people did. And yourself, especially in this game, and the people want it, and a lot of it they come into the bar and, "Oh, I'm going to back you on this, and I'm going to back you on that," and a lot of stuff that held us back. But at one stage we just said, same thing again. It came back to as the start of this conversation. We said, you know what, we're doing it, and we put the money in ourselves. Like we went into rehab. They were talking about getting a rise, and we said, you know what, just give us a lump of money. Let's just start this, and we gave up. So it cost an awful lot of money and an awful lot of hours. Meanwhile, while doing all the other stuff that we were doing,
Sure.
Like your man was learning how to with the cameras and all this sort of stuff, and get this, I have to buy this lens, get this lens, this will be great. And all that. I'm gonna try it out on this, and they're all guinea pigging it and all that. It was great, but the same thing. And then then you'd be reaching out to. I work closely with Tom O'Connor from Tunnels and Towers. Beautiful man, and he was great. He looked at the Frank Siller stuff, and there was an awful lot to get through. They didn't just accept you immediately, you know what I mean? There was a lot to get through, a lot of work, and that worked. And then just going, and then we didn't just Google stuff, It was like I love history. I love the history of history, and where it came from and what happened, how did it happen, and not just the Google end of it. I'll find out about people and all different stuff. So doing the research on it, and then it was. It wasn't even taxing. It was just fantastic, there's loads of stories we didn't put in, but just finding out what other people think, and it's the same as the Kennedy thing. 9/11 is like everybody knows where they were, and everyone has a story. So we had to filter through all the stories that were entertaining as such, but everyone has an interesting story. We've a friend of ours that set up the gig that you were at, and he sparked it to me. He said he was his first day as a kid being a journalist, and he was sent out on the street, and he said it was the best day and the worst day of his life because he was just thrown into the middle of it, and he had that, and he came back. He worked for 23 hours solid, and just came back to his apartment and broke down completely because all his work was going out on all the news programs and stuff like that, you know. So there was all these little stories to the side of it, and then us get at the deeper we went into it, there was no point in this that we said we're not going to finish it. I mean, there's that. Sorry, in the other one, there was lots of points where we weren't going to finish it. Like,
With a lot of
this
great
one,
help.
there was no way.
Yeah, we had some great people helping us out, John, and we had Jeff Olam, who's our co-director. Jeff is known for being a colorist, and he's worked on.
I ran across him many years ago and hadn't heard his name until I saw what you were saying about him.
Wow.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Titanic, Fifth Element, The Revenant, all of these. I mean, he's super.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Harry Potter. So, but he's been instrumental in helping me along with getting it right and helping me out when I didn't know. Now I'm all au fait with it all now, but it was such a learning experience. So it was great to have him there, and his work was very valuable to us as well. So it was great to have him as a team member. And of course, Scott Nickley, who's a producer, who did the sound for South Park and various other people there. Various other projects that he was involved in. And then we had Benny Riedfeld from Santana, who helped with the song. We had Les Warner, from the drummer from the Cult. We had the Boomtown Horns, who were here in Las Vegas, fantastic lads, all great musicians. So we've been very lucky to have a pool of all of these people all around us, and that they wanted to work with us as well. So that was all contingent into us being able to produce something so polished and cool, you know.
Well, it's once again, you just made it happen. Your spirit did it. I think that's a lesson for people who have something that they dream or they got a project or something. You just got to find a way. And I think
open the door. Just open the door.
Yeah, you just got to find that way. And the two of you, you're definitely unstoppable. There's no doubt about it. You're two unstoppable guys, and coming from Dublin, that's not surprising, right? But that I have to connect you with, and I can't remember the name of it, but there was a documentary done by a Bronx Irish American guy who played, I believe, bagpipes with the police band, and some of his relatives were involved in 9/11. They did a documentary about it from a different perspective. This Bronx Irish American guy. So when I get a chance, I'll send you that.
Definitely.
Yeah, you'll really enjoy that. But so you won the festival. What's some of the next steps for you getting this out to an audience? Because one of the two things about it, obviously, is that you're raising money for a great charity, Tunnel to Towers, but also it's a great message, of all these amazing people in one of the worst, darkest moments, and what they did and how they supported each other. So there's a powerful message that even after all these years, I think is necessary to remind people. Because like you said, David, we forget our history. And 20 years ago seems like 100 years ago in America.
Oh, man.
It's almost ancient history to us, unfortunately. But people really need to remember this and remember the lessons of it. So tell us a little bit about what you need to do, what the audience can do, where they can see it, how they can support you, that kind of stuff as well.
Well, we're going to tour. We're going to tour as much as we can. We're going to get out to, and especially the way we work, we can play anywhere. We were talking about just doing theaters, and then we were just looking at it. We can play movie theaters. We can play in a backyard. You know what I mean? We can set up, and our stuff is light to carry and make it well. So our idea was to play the movie, do it and play a set, and we have some of the firefighters with us, like we did in the Blythe Film Festival, and they got 3 standing ovations the whole night that we did, playing the music and then doing the Q&A with the guys, and then and we have the movie with us. We're not going to put it onto a platform yet. We'll sell it at the gigs and sell it so we can earn some money back that can help us finance, getting to these film festivals and getting us on the road and getting it out to as many places like that. It's back to the old days. It's back to the as I said earlier on, the Johnny Cash days and the Elvis stuff. Into the car and off you go. You know.
At the same time, raising awareness for the tunnels to towers. When we do get it onto the platform, well, then we're going to send 50% of the revenue to them, and that's for life.
For life, yeah.
So we're going to do that, and then obviously it's helping people to not forget, John. That's the biggest one for all of these great heroes, particularly for the younger generation who are, you know, somewhat desensitized to what has happened. You know, they weren't here, so they don't know, and that's pretty much it. So if they're not being reminded, well, then who's going to tell them, you know? So they need to know the history. That's a very important thing. So it's great to be an ambassador for that as well. So there's a lot of things going on with it, but a lot of good. We're doing good with this, and it feels good to do good. So
yeah, that's really good.
And this is something from your book, and I think it kind of sums up, you know, your message and also a message to the people. And this is, you know, life is but a brief journey. Make it count. And I think that is really, you know, very
resounding. It's a resounding fact. Yes, it is. Yeah, well, I appreciate you mentioning that. That's great. But yeah, it's you just got to listen. I'm still 28. You know what I mean? Even though I'm going to be 54 next month, I'm just, you know, we're all looking through the same eyes, and we feel the same way.
I'm with you 100%. It's the same way. We're on this great adventure, and the adventure continues, right?
Yeah,
so,
I just wish my knees were 27. Right knee is killing me.
Enjoy yourself. Enjoy what you're doing. Try and be good. Try and do your best. Help people. It's the best way to go about yourself.
It is. Make a difference. Make a difference. Well, hey, thank you, David. Thank you, Dave. I thank you so much for coming and sharing so much. I want to do at least 2 more shows with you guys. One, I want to, whatever I can do when you start this tour with the, you know, Through a Storm, because I'd love to just focus a whole story, you know, section just on that to help promote that. I'd love to do that because you're doing great work with it. And of course, I also want to do a show with you on the mental health and some of the lessons you learned on that. So I think we'll get a chance to do some more in the future. But you know, thank you both for, you know, once again, I say, I always seem, you know, it ain't me. God seems to put people in my life. And I'm like, you know, he put me in Newport and I was like, okay. And never did I expect to meet you 2 guys from Ireland, but it kind of, you know, it's like, you know, the kid from the Irish American kid from the Bronx meets the 2 guys from Ireland. There's a story there, but you know, thank you both for, you know, what you've done so far. I love your music, and so whatever I can do to help share your journey and share that story, I will do.
Brilliant.
Anything you want to both say to finish up? And once again, thank you so much for being part of this.
Come next Thursday, I'm going to be an American citizen. I get sworn in.
Yes,
in Las Vegas. So it's a dream. You know, it's a dream that started when I was a kid, and it's, you know, the whole Manhattan skyline on the wall, on the poster. To go through the whole thing, to go through what we did. Jesus, it's been some journey, you know. And to get through the visa system, bring my family, my wife and kids here, and then through the visa system, through the green card system, have that for 5 years, and then go. And to get here has been a big journey. So I'm really, really excited. And yeah, and thank you, USA, for having me.
Hey, congratulations and welcome to America. Very
well,
good.
The thing is, I'm going to real America now in 2 weeks' time because I'm going to New York.
Yes, indeed. Well, you're going to my city.
The rest of America is fake. New York is the real America, all right? As
They
you know,
may not-
John.
Some
You know what
people
I mean?
may not agree with me, but I
Us
have to
New
agree
Yorkers,
with you.
you know.
Yeah, we love that place. We love it. It's great, and the people. It's a fabulous place. It really is.
It
So-
is. It
So
is.
it's the next chapter. This is the next chapter. And John, definitely thanks for having us on your show.
Hey.
And as I said to you, we'll come back. We'll haunt you because, as I say to everyone, if you offer me something, I'm going to ask for it.
Hey,
Definitely.
please do.
That's what we do.
Please do. And once again, thank you. And it was a great show. And thank you for sharing all that you shared. And I'm sure the audience will appreciate it. And you have a great one. And I'm going to wrap up the show, and we'll come soon. Come back again.
God bless you.
God bless you as well. All right.
Bye.
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 Well, I hope you enjoyed that show and you were both entertained and inspired by both their music, their message, and all the positive information they put out there. So join me if you haven't seen my previous 75 podcast shows with some amazing, courageous friends. You can watch them on YouTube. You can watch them on live-courageously.com, my website, and join us again next Sunday at 3 p.m. for my next show. And thank you so much for being part of it. And if you get a chance, make sure you check out their documentaries, their book, and I'll see you soon.